February 22nd, 2025. At 10 a.m., I posted the first video on this hardcore series after my first attempt at hardcore Minecraft failed miserably. This series has jump-started what will hopefully be a fantastic YouTube career. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now let's get this movie started, shall we? I'll be honest, I'm absolutely terrible at hardcore. But this time is different, okay? Not only am I confident that this hardcore world will surpass 10,000 days, but I genuinely believe this world could be the greatest world I have ever created. And I want you to be a part of it. So stick around because today, history begins. Just over a month ago, I created my first hardcore Minecraft world. And let's just say it didn't go so well. This time, while I do still want to do a lot of large builds, I also really want to focus on the story. For this reason, today I want to start a tradition. In every video, I want to make an entry in what I'm calling the Traveler's Guide. Essentially, this guide is going to be a collection of sorts, containing every single build and significant location in my world, along with the story related to it. I want this to be something that gets filled out while working on the project. And I plan to make this a section in every single video we build something new. So essentially every video. However, we're not building anything right this minute, so I suppose we'll come back to this a little later in the video. Well, now that you know about that, I suppose we should go see what little me's been up to. Alright, hey everybody. So I was just on my way back to World Spawn after that little mining session, and you will not believe what I found. A natural pink sheep. I am 100% bringing this guy with me. He'll have to stay with us in the starter house. Now, I guess I gotta go ahead and take this fella back, and then once I get there, let's go ahead and talk about the mining loot and the plan for the base. Okay. World Spawn was over here somewhere, so we're on the other side of it. Got our pink sheep in a hole with a few other sheep. And from that mining trip, we got 19 diamonds, a few music discs, and just, normal random Minecraft stuff. Now it is time to go ahead and start working on the base. But I've got a small issue. For this base, I need quite a few resources, but I can get those. They're not too difficult. The issue here is I need dripstone, and I need moss, glowberries, and a spore blossom. So all these items I need from the caves, which is where we just were, and we didn't find any of them at all. So I was just going through my world map. I set it to cave mode and was playing around. According to this, maybe 3 chunks in front of me, if I dig down at Y level -4, there is a dripstone cave right here. And it looks like there might be a spawner there as well. Also, it turns out there's a trial chamber right below me. And if you watched the last hardcore series, you would know that I'm definitely not going to be getting anywhere near that. What I'm going to do is make a shovel. And I guess I'm going to dig down into the dripstone cave, get the dripstone. And then I'll have to do... Oh, bet, there's a lush cave over here. Huge lush cave over here. After I get that dripstone, I guess I'm gonna have to come all the way over here into the lush cave. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of a walk, but it shouldn't actually be all that bad. I hope. Alright, I guess let's go ahead and sleep, and then we're going down to the dripstone cave. Alright, well, I'm starting to hear some zombies. Oh. Ooh, more diamonds. That's pretty good. Okay. So we found the cave. I see the dripstone over there. Now we just gotta get down there safely and not die to all of that. All right, I got it. You ready? This is the strat. We're going to drop down here and just run around and spam torches. Go, go, go. This is a terrible strategy, but you know what? It's working so far. All right, you know what? This might actually be a mine shaft down here as well. Oh, that might be a cave spider. I don't really want to deal with those. All right, you know what? The strategy seemed stupid, but this is actually a pretty solid strategy. I only need like 20 dripstone blocks, so let's just go ahead and real hastily try to mine up some of these. Okay, yeah, this strategy worked great, to be honest. No real issues here. And then, if I'm not mistaken, there was a spawner in here. And according to the map, that spawner is somewhere over here. Ooh, geode. I kind of want a spyglass. I should stop in there as well. And there's some diamonds. All right, this ain't bad. I do have to be careful, though. I still only have iron armor. All right, yeah, this worked perfectly. Okay, there is the mob spawner. Please be something good. Oh, it's really good, actually. Skeletons are easily the best mob spawner possibility. And can I get a saddle? That would be fantastic. You have no idea how badly I want a saddle. All right, no saddle, but you know what? This worked out perfectly. Let's go ahead and get out of here. And now I just need to go ahead and find my way over to that lush cave. Well, I'm on my way to go get that stuff I need from the lush cave, and look what I just happened to find. Very nice. I'm definitely gonna have to go ahead and grab a few saplings. Ah, things are starting to come together. Ooh, look at that. We even got dark oak over there. All right, maybe I go grab some of that as well. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, I'm approaching -4. Should be falling in right now by the looks of it. Into the lush cave we go. Get a few glowberries. Might as well grab some drip leaf while we're here. A few more glowberries. Definitely need some azalea. Grab some moss. Just gonna grab a little bit of everything, and then we're gonna head back home. All right, I got some drip leaves, both azalea bushes, which is definitely gonna need a little bit of both of those. And I got about a stack of moss. Now I just need to go ahead and grab these spore blossoms. And I should be good to get out of here now. All right, well, I managed to get out of there with a good amount of stuff, 8 whole spore blossoms, and I even found 6 more diamonds. I could have got a few more spore blossoms, but it was around that point that I realized I was completely out of food, and I really don't feel like starving to death. So, you know, that was my cue to leave. Although now I'm pursuing a shipwreck. So, I mean, all right, nice. We even got a little bit more stuff. Now I just got to go ahead and find my way all the way back to world spawn, which only about 800 blocks. Shouldn't be too bad, especially not by boat. Hey, look at that. We even have a mushroom island right by world spawn. This might be one of the best world spawns I've ever seen. Every single wood type besides like acacia seems to be relatively close. Beautiful mountains, and we even have a mushroom island. Absolutely incredible. All right, well, back here at the base, I'm just laying out a little bit of copper for the build. And once we get the rest of this copper laid out, I'm gonna have to go get a few more resources, starting with deep slate. And to get that deep slate, I'm simply going to head back down into this cave that we went into for the dripstone, which was somewhere around here. There it is. All right, now just to collect a little bit of deep slate. Now I can get some spruce wood. Then I needed a little bit of dark oak, a couple of vines, and finally some bamboo. All right, back up here at world spawn area. Got all of those resources collected up. And I'm ready to start building. Finally. So I guess let's go ahead and kick into a time lapse, shall we? All right then, that is it everybody. The house is now completed. Taking a step back to look at it, let's turn on shaders. It's nothing special by any means, and it's not supposed to be anything special by any means. You see, the backstory to this build really is not all that interesting, but we'll get more to that when we make our entry into the Traveler's Guide. Until then, I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about our next steps. Now, before I go ahead and focus on the interior of this build, I really want to go ahead and add a few more builds to the area, starting with a really nice tree. So what we're going to do right now is collect a few more leaves, and then we're going to build a tree. After that tree is built, we will then talk about some of the other builds I want to put in the area today. Only once all of that is completed will we then discuss the house, why it's built the way it is, and the backstory behind this area. Alright, well, let's get some leaves and build a tree. Alright, so I've gone ahead and built up that tree as you saw, and I absolutely love it. But there is this swing right here, and it's missing something. So using a handy dandy data pack, the Vanilla Tweaks data pack, we can go ahead and modify ourselves an armor stand to permanently be sitting here on the swing. Now to do this, I'm going to need to set up my book and quill. So now I'm going to go ahead and position this guy, and then I'll bring you guys back once he is finally all ready to go. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this first armor stand. And yes, I did say first, we are going to be setting up another one. However, before I can go ahead and set up another one, I think we need to zoom out a little bit and just take a look at the area here. So we have our rundown house, which again, we'll get into the backstory for in a little bit here. But then we have this tree all the way down here with one of the residents of the house in it. We need a way to not only connect these two builds, but bring this area a little bit more to life. So right now I am envisioning a windy path coming all the way down here to the tree from the house. Right here I want to put in a cow farm because it took me quite a little while to get the leather. It took me like 25 minutes to get the leather to make that armor right there. Also, for enchanting table purposes, leather would be very useful. And then I would also like to set up a wheat farm, because I would like to make this path out of mud. Mud's a bit expensive, you know, you need wheat, and I don't have anywhere near enough wheat to make a path that large. So what I'm going to do right now is set up the path and the wheat farm and this cow farm, and I'm going to go ahead and set up just some other like foliage bits, try and decorate the area a little bit. And then, once all of that is done, we will be able to go ahead and set up another armor stand, and then make our entry into the Traveler's Guide. I guess I gotta go ahead and get to work. The field is now completed. As I'm sure you'll notice, I didn't actually end up building a cow pen or pretty much anything that I said I was going to do. I instead just built the path like I said I would, and then just made a giant wheat farm. Now, for those of you wondering why did I decide to only do a giant wheat field, well, I figured that it was probably better just to do wheat here because A, it's really pretty. Look at all this. But also because I intend to make a ginormous kingdom over this entire area. So of course I'm going to need a farming area to do a bunch of farming. So that would of course include keeping animals, growing wheat, other crops. Why would I put all of it in one tiny area when I could end up having it span this entire area right here? Pretty much I could make more decorative buildings and just have it look nicer by spreading it out. So what I decided to do is I just went ahead and made this a giant wheat farm. And I think you'll have to agree with me, it's absolutely beautiful. And when we put on our shaders, it is absolutely magnificent. Now from down here, as you'll see, the scale, the tree is bigger, the house all the way up on top of the hill looks a lot smaller. But I feel like I need to add another tree right here, probably a medium-sized tree or a bit smaller, just to mess with the scale. I want it to look smaller than this tree so that it looks farther back, which it will be. But I also need to look a tad bit larger than the house because, you know, it's a bit closer up. Pretty much I'm trying to do a little tactic here. I want to frame the house. So I want to make it when you're looking at this from a distance, it's like perfectly framing the house and the scale and everything is accurate. So I don't want to make a giant tree, but I can't have it be too small. And I think I figured out how to do that. I think I have a tree that I can put there. But before we do that, I did tell you guys I was going to make another armor stand, and well, I did. Here he is. Dude's got some work pants on, got his black boots, sitting in the garden working with the flowers and whatnot. Also, in that time lapse, I am sorry, it did cut off when I started actually tilling the ground and planting the wheat. I paused the recording to go eat lunch, and when I came back, I didn't unpause the recording, so I completed all of this and didn't have any recording to show for it. Sorry, that's my bad, but it won't happen again, I promise. Alright, I promise. Yeah, this is just absolutely beautiful with the shaders. Also, I just want to real quickly mention, I put berry bushes under these windows, so now if a mob walks into them, they'll take damage, and they can't jump through the window. Also, their pathfinding just shouldn't allow them to walk into them, so I put them under every single window that was open. Ideally, I should be safe inside of my house now. I shouldn't have to worry about zombies or mainly creepers jumping through my window and walking in. Skeletons could still be an issue, I suppose. Like, they could just stand on the path and shoot me, but that's something I'm willing to deal with. I just was not willing to deal with creepers walking through my windows. That would have been absolutely awful. Alright, enough talk. I've shown you the beautiful field. I showed you my little dude there. Let's go ahead and build this tree, and then we can go ahead and make our first entry into the Traveler's Guide. All right, now just gonna go ahead and finish putting in the final details. Looking pretty good. And then finally, we have to actually go ahead and put in some birds. So do I have... Nope. I need a birdie. I want the red one. Here we go. So now I just gotta push him onto the pressure plate, which is supposed to be like a little bird nest. And there we go. Then I did bring a second pressure plate, so I can add another bird nest somewhere. I also have another diorite slab. Maybe I could go ahead and add one right over here, actually. Right here, maybe the branch is sticking out a little bit more. There's no leaves on the edge. Put the pressure plate, and now I just gotta get the other bird up there. I just need you to stay right there. All right, there we go. Break down all of our scaffolding, and there we go. There is our second tree. Now this one is nothing special. It's not like the first one where we have the swing and it's like really beautiful. It's just a small tree. It's my first ever attempt at a custom birch tree actually, and I think it turned out all right. It's just supposed to add a little bit of color and most importantly, a little bit of scale. So when we zoom out and look at the build from like here, this smaller tree is kind of playing with the scale, making it look like the house is actually a bit farther back than it actually is. It just kind of makes the build look a little bit better. And hopefully, once we have buildings down here, when you're looking up from all the way down here in the village, that scale will kind of work to make the build look a little bit more dynamic. Alright, well, now that we have the building done, we have our starter house completed, we have this giant beautiful farm, our birch tree, our oak tree, I think it is finally time to go ahead and make our first entry into the Traveler's Guide. So, without any further ado, let's open our Traveler's Guide, where we are met with a rough outlined drawing of the house, along with a map of the surrounding area. Now, time for some important details and some storytelling. Obviously, I can't tell you all of this build story without spoiling future plans, but I'll share what I can. This is, of course, my starter house. It's an old, run-down, beat-up house that's been in this family for generations. Located on the outskirts of town, this home is where Jill and her son David live. They farm off the land around them to survive, and they sell off any excess to the village people for cash to be able to repair the house, buy farm equipment, stuff like that. This land was actually purchased by David's great-great-grandfather, who had built this house by himself, actually. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, well, where is David's father? David's father, Richard, has unfortunately passed away, and I can't get into the details too much about that without spoiling some future story or future build projects. So with that, we can now finish our entry into the Traveler's Guide for episode 1. Well, believe it or not, that is actually everything that I had planned for the first episode of this new hardcore world. So, unfortunately, that is going to be the end of this very first episode. Please let me know what you all think of the Traveler's Guide idea down in the comments below. I would love to know what y'all's opinion on the Traveler's Guide is. The Traveler's Guide does take quite a lot more effort to make than I thought it would. I would just like to know if it's really worth my time. Also, be sure to let me know down below any thoughts you might have for this world, because I have ideas, but maybe you have some cooler ideas that I would totally love to steal. Borrow. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all come back for the next episode, because I'm going to finally do something that I have been dreaming about doing in Minecraft for like the last 2 years. It should be a whole lot of fun. So that's going to be it for today's episode, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye. Last episode, I built this cute little starter base along with this ginormous wheat field. And no, it is not overcompensation for anything, okay? Jeez. This episode, I'm finally going to do something that I've wanted to do in Minecraft for a really long time, ever since I first saw it in Season 6 of Hermitcraft. Today, I am finally going to be getting God Armor in Minecraft. If you don't know what God Armor is, it's just armor but with every type of protection on it. Yes, this is possible in vanilla Minecraft, and there are 2 ways that I know of doing this. The first is to downgrade your world to a version where this was once possible, so either 1.14.2 or 24W11A. The alternative way to do this is through something called enchant manipulation, where you use multiple alternate accounts to enchant a stack of shadowed items at the same time, causing the enchantments to all stack on a single item. Yeah, I don't know either. This is way above my pay grade. If you do want to know more about this method, I will link Captain Solo's video about it down below. Okay, so I'm obviously going to do this by downgrading my world to version 24W11A. The reason I'm choosing this version over 1.14.2 is because in this version, rather than combining all of the enchantments in a anvil, you do it in a grindstone, meaning I wouldn't need the 300 levels for enchanting. Great, but of course, there's a problem. After version 1.21, worlds cannot be downgraded because of a change to the way that the game's coding is written. Since I'm in version 1.21.4, that means I can't downgrade my world, so how am I going to do this? Well, I'm simply going to create a brand new world in version 24W11A, grind out the god armor, copy my inventory file from that world over to my real hardcore world, and then finish the job there. If you're a person that thinks this is cheating and are now mad about me doing this, cry about it. Alrighty, well, I suppose now it's time to actually go ahead and start getting the god armor. Go ahead and create this brand new world. That's a little close there, Minecraft. What you trying to do there? Well, I think the easiest way to do this is going to be just to find a village and set up shop there. I don't really want to have to go mining, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead, find a village, get them breeding, build some farms. I'm gonna trade diamond armor, and then I'll have to start trading for all the books. So hopefully this won't end up taking all that long. I just gotta find myself a village. Well, I made it to the top of the giant hill, and there's not a single village in sight. Turns out we're on a giant mountain range. But there's still savanna this way, and the other direction is biomes that can't have villages, so I suppose I just gotta go in a straight line that way and hope for the best. Oh yeah, I told you, savanna would have a village. There it is. Okay. Just gotta get over there, trap the villagers, and then I can start trading my way to god armor. Alright, made it to the village, and they got melons. Finally, I'm not hungry anymore. Okay, the plan is going to be pretty simple. I need to get these villagers breeding. So I'm gonna have to go steal every single bed and get them in a hole. Alright, I need a couple more of you to get in the hole, please. Please, sir, get in the hole. What? Why? Oh my goodness. This is the second librarian I've gotten to level 3. Still will not sell me glass. I need one of you to sell glass, okay? That's how I plan to make money from this. I need librarians that will sell glass so that I can turn it to glass panes and sell it back to the cartographers over here. That is the easiest way for me to get a bunch of emeralds and actually do this, but of course, it's not going my way. So I guess I need to breed the villagers again and continue chopping down trees. Yes! Oh my goodness, I finally got one that sells glass! Oh, this is so good, this is so good, this is so good! You know what that means? Finally, we can start making some stonks! Stonks! Well, I didn't necessarily realize this, but this dude sells 4 glass for 1 emerald, meaning 3 emeralds will get me 32 glass panes. The cartographer, however, is 11 glass panes for 1 emerald, so with 32, I can get 2 emeralds. Meaning that I'm actually going to be losing money, and the only way this is efficient is if I cure them with the zombie villager curing effect. I don't exactly plan to go to the nether, so that's not going to work, and I have doubled down on my tree effort. I went back to the jungle, got some jungle saplings. Now I just kind of got to wait. But these are going to be big 2x2 trees. Hopefully I'll get more and more saplings. I'm thinking it might be a little bit quicker. Maybe. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. I don't exactly have any other options right now, so. Alright, so I've gotten all of the armor that I'm going to need for this from the 2 armorers. They're around here somewhere. There they are. Oh, they're all in bed now. Perfect. So you can see them. Got all the armor we're going to need. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, how does this work? Because you said in this version, you need a grindstone instead of an anvil. And that is true. So the way we're going to do this is you're going to put each type of protection onto the armor.
separately, of course, because in this version you can't put it on together in an anvil. But in the grindstone, if you go ahead and put both of these in, it glitches. It's really weird. So the bottom item has its normal enchant still. The output is still unenchanted, but the top item now has both. And if you take it out, it keeps both. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to do that. So now I have projectile protection and blast protection on that chest plate. I'll unenchant this one. And now I still have to work with the villagers to get normal protection and then fire protection. But once I get both of those, I'll do the same thing. And it will stack all 4 on this chest plate. And then I'm just going to have to get mending and unbreaking to enchant it the rest of the way. And then I just got to do that for all of the other pieces of armor. So this is definitely going to take a while, but at least I'm finally getting somewhere. All right, here we go. The final protection enchantment is now being put on every single piece of armor. And there we go, finished with the boots. Now we have a full set of diamond armor with every single type of protection on it.
I am invincible! Invincible!
Now, before I go back to the real hardcore world, I am going to do the rest of the enchanting for this armor. So I got to get mending and unbreaking on everything. And then I got to get the rest of the helmet and boot enchantments. Oh boy, this is going to take a little while. But you know what? I already have all of the extra helmet enchantments. I already have a mending and unbreaking villager. So I'm just going to have to get myself Death Strider, and then I should be good. All right now, well, before I go ahead and put thorns on all of this armor, what I would like to do is make a backup set so that I can have one with thorns and one without thorns. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and put in the fully enchanted piece down here, unenchanted piece up there, and would you look at that, all the enchantments are duplicated over. Now I can just go ahead and do this for every single other one. And now I have 2 complete sets of god armor.
I am invincible! Invincible!
Absolutely incredible. Now I just got to get thorns on 1 suit. But yeah, progress is being made. We're very close to being able to go back home. So close. Now, even though we have our god armor completely finished, before I go back to the real hardcore world, there is one more thing that I would like to do. As I'm sure all of you know, Sharpness, Smite, and Bane of Arthropods all go on swords. However, none of these 3 enchantments can be put on the same sword. They all have conflict of interest, they can't go together. Well, in this version, they all can go on the same sword. And it is absolutely incredible. This sword right here is so powerful, the sharpness 5 plus the other enchant. If I were to hit any undead mob, a skeleton, a zombie, or any arthropod, so a spider, instantly kills them. Instantly kills them 1 hit. Not even netherite, not even a crit, insta kills them. That is how incredibly awesome and overpowered this sword is. So now that we've got all of these enchants on it, I of course have to get the rest of the normal sword enchantments, which is probably going to take me like another 3 hours. So better get to it. Now we have completely maxed out god armor, 1 with thorns and 1 without thorns, and we have 3 maxed out overpowered diamond swords. Now before we go back to the real hardcore world, there's one final thing that I have to show you. As you all know, Infinity and Mending cannot be on the same bow at the same time, which I'll show you over here in the anvil. The 2 enchants conflict. They will not go on at the same time. Well, now we have an Infinity Mending bow.
What did he say?
And if we go ahead and do this real quick, we can have 2 of them. However, what I'm going to do is unenchant the 1. I'm going to go get the final enchantments on this bow. So power 5, flame, punch 2, and then I'll duplicate it over to this bow. And then we're done and we can go back to the real hardcore world. Finally, it's been 3 real life days in this world. Oh my goodness, this has been taking forever. I'm so excited to get out of here. All right, 3 more villagers and then we're done. So close. And with that, all of our god armor, bow and arrows, and swords are now 100% complete. And, well, that means it is finally time for me to go ahead and get back into the real hardcore world. And to do that, I'm going to have to go ahead and get rid of all of my stuff because I don't want to bring any of this with me. And then I'm going to have to go ahead and grab all of the enchanted weapons, our enchanted god armor, and the suit that doesn't have thorns on it. And now with all of this in my inventory, all that is left for me to do is transfer my player data from this world into the real hardcore world. But first, I'm gonna have to log into the real hardcore world and make sure that I have nothing that I want to keep in my inventory, because that inventory is gonna be replaced with this one. Inventory is now completely cleared, meaning that now we can grab the player data folder from our God Armor world, copy that, and paste it into the folder for our hardcore world. And now I load into the world. Oh, and would you look at that? I have 2 sets of god armor, 3 overpowered diamond swords, and 2 absolutely insane bow and arrows. Also, I found a saddle in one of the villager chests, and I don't have one in this world, and I really wanted it, so I took that with me as well. So there's 3 things that need to be done. First of all, we need to go get netherite, meaning we gotta go get a bunch of ancient debris so that we can upgrade all of this armor along with our sword, and we have to find the upgrade template from the Bastion remnants. Then we still have to find the Soul Speed book, and then finally we're going to need the Swift Sneak 3 enchantment to complete our pants. Now before we go hunting for enchantments, we're gonna go to the Nether first, where we can get a bunch of ancient debris to upgrade our armor set along with the upgrade template. And of course that means we need obsidian. So it's time for me to make my first diamond pickaxe of this hardcore world. Now, thankfully, when we spawned in, there was a lava pit just down the hill from world spawn. So we can go ahead and turn this all into obsidian and mine up 14 pieces. Alright, now with the obsidian in hand, it is time to head back to the base and craft our first ever nether portal of this hardcore world. Well, unfortunately, there doesn't look to be much of a spawn here in the nether. So I guess I'm just gonna have to kind of dig and hopefully find my way out of here. Alright, well that didn't seem to take too long. So hopefully it won't take me too long to find a bastion. It's probably gonna take a little while, but you know what? Hopefully it won't be too bad. Also, while we're here, we can go ahead and chart down some important locations, maybe find another fortress, make sure that we have easy access to crimson wood and warped wood, all that stuff. Plus, we have some pretty good armor, so there shouldn't really be anything that I need to be scared of. Alright, well I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and explore now and hopefully find something good. Oh hey, look at that. There's another fortress. Well, that's cool, and it's not too far away from where we were. 400 blocks maybe? Alright, not bad. Not bad. There's another one. Alright, well we got multiple options apparently. Lovely. Bop. Alright, let's test out the sword. It just instantly kills him. I didn't even have to crit him. Oh my god. That's insane. Alright, let's go back to our journey. Hopefully find a bastion. Well, I'm happy to announce that I have found a bastion. Now I just gotta get in there, loot some chests, and hopefully not die. I mean, seriously, I cannot die in an episode 2 again. It was embarrassing the first time round. Can't happen again. Oh, this is a good one too. This one is guaranteed to have the trim. Alright, that means I just gotta safely get my way all the way downstairs now. Uh-oh, that one had a crossbow, that one had a crossbow. Then I can go down to here. Uh-oh. Okay. That is a lot of piglins. Oh my goodness. Did you hear that? Super stealthy. All right. Quick. Give me all of that. Give me all of that. That should be all of it. And now I just gotta quickly get out of here. Upgrade template, some basic diamond armor, 2 netherite ingots. All right, well that's half the work for me. Plus 2 ancient debris. Sweet. Now I do believe there's normally a chest on the first floor, like right there, actually. Is there one on the first floor? There is. All right, so I was right. There is one there. If I come down here, please tell me I'm not going to get swarmed. Oh, soul speed 1. Well, that's progress towards our other goal. Now, I'm sure there are some other chests around here somewhere, but I got what I needed out of this. I really don't want to push it. All right, back here at the base, I've gone ahead and put away the important stuff in that chest. Everything else has just kind of been dumped in these random chests. And I went ahead and was shearing some sheep. So now we have plenty of beds for me to go ahead and craft up. And now it's time to go back into the nether, dig down to netherite level, and just start bombing with beds. Well, I was able to grab the 10 ancient debris that I needed, plus I grabbed 1 extra. Now we can go ahead and chuck this in a furnace, let that all cook into netherite scraps. And now that that is all done, we can go ahead and grab 12 gold, craft ourselves 3 more netherite ingots. And now we need to grab our upgrade template, some diamonds, and a little bit of netherrack so we can craft some more of those. And finally, we can go ahead and craft ourselves a smithing table. Put that down right here in the middle of the room. And now it is time to go ahead and max out our god armor. Netherite helmet, netherite chestplate, netherite pants, and netherite boots.
I am invincible! Invincible!
That feels so good. And to top it off, we can go ahead and make our insanely overpowered sword even more powerful. All right, it is time to get the 2 final enchantments that we are missing. That, of course, being Soul Speed 3 and Swift Sneak 3. I think we should go ahead and start with getting the Soul Speed because I have a whole bunch of gold laying around, and we've spent so much time in the nether recently, I think I know just the spot to go find some piglins. I got a piglin chasing after me. We're gonna try and trap him in this hole. I really gotta be careful so he doesn't die on my armor. Dude, this is the 4th piglin I've had to deal with. I'm so happy that worked. Okay. And now I just chuck a bunch of gold on the floor. Like right there. And let him go. Alright, now I just gotta do this with all of the gold or until I get the soul speed. This is gonna be a little while, so I'll bring you guys back when I either run out of gold or get soul speed 3. Well, this is our last chance. Please give me a book. Unfortunately not. Okay. So we got 2 Soul Speed 1 books, which isn't awful, but the issue is we have 1 Soul Speed 1 book at home from that Bastion we raided, meaning that 1 more Soul Speed book of any level means I can get Soul Speed 3. And yeah, that's just kind of annoying because we're so close and we're 1 away. All right, well, I'm going to head back to base, empty out my inventory, and then I'm going to go mine some nether gold ore, I suppose, and hopefully it won't take all that long. Well, I have finally gotten Soul Speed 3. That took way too long to get that final book, but you know what? Finally got it, combined all the books together, and now we can go ahead and take off our boots, throw them in the anvil with Soul Speed 3, and for 27 levels, we now have the most powerful boots in all of Minecraft. Now we need one more enchantment, and that, of course, being Swift Sneak 3 to go on our pants. So let's go start searching for an ancient city and hope we get lucky. Well, would you look at that? Second chest, and I was able to get Swift Sneak 2 times, so essentially Swift Sneak 3. However, this ancient city is pretty large, and you know, maybe coming out of here with an armor trim or 2 would be pretty nice, so maybe I just stick around for a little. Or maybe we just leave. That works too. I'm okay with leaving. Leaving sounds good. Okay, look, I may have stayed a little bit longer than I said I was going to. Because, you know, I also have a Swift Sneak 3 book now. I have multiple Swift Sneak 3 books, actually. Swift Sneak 2, I have 3 of them. 1 Swift Sneak 1, and then these 2 books. So, I did stay a little bit longer than I said I was going to originally, but you know what? Doesn't really matter. We got the book. Now, here's the real question. How much is this going to cost? Because I only got 2.5 levels. 19. That's actually not bad. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting a lot worse. I was expecting so much worse, actually. Like, the boots were 27. 19, I can do 19. I can definitely do 19. Okay, so I'm going to make a brand new pickaxe, and then we can go back to the nether, mine some quartz, maybe kill some blazes, pretty much just hang around that nether fortress area and mine anything and everything I see along the way to hopefully get 19 levels. Levels acquired. We only need 19. So let's go ahead, toss these pants right back in the anvil. And would you look at that? Now we have completely maxed out god armor and weapons. We are absolutely stacked, incredibly overpowered. Oh yeah, I feel like I could take on anything right now. Unfortunately, there was no building or storytelling in this episode, but the next will have plenty of both. So you better subscribe as not to miss it. Hopefully, I will see all of you in the next episode. Goodbye! Welcome to my hardcore Minecraft world, where last episode we obtained the strongest weapons and the most overpowered armor in all of Minecraft. Today, however, I'm going to be building an incredibly detailed fishing village, along with doing a ton of landscaping and plenty of other things. So, I better get to it. In preparation for this project, in between episodes, I got myself a handful of villagers to enchant some of my tools. So now I have a fully enchanted Silk Touch diamond pickaxe, diamond shovel, and diamond axe. Today's project is going to be absolutely huge, so I want to get a beacon to speed along the process. Meaning, of course, I need to fight the Wither, and I need enough resources for a full beacon base. So before I risk everything for a beacon, we're going to go ahead and build an iron farm. However, this isn't just any iron farm. This is probably one of the coolest iron farms I have ever built. So let's quickly gather up some resources and build a boat. Well, there you have it. The first of what will hopefully be many beautiful ships all over this world. Now, this ship is fully spawn-proofed besides the hall, which is where the iron golems are spawning. Down here, I have a zombie along with 6 villagers. Also got a little AFK room in here. So this is just a basic iron farm. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing super efficient. Unfortunately, this farm will only make about 150 iron per hour, so really quite a low-end iron farm. But here's the bright side. I can build more boats wherever and whenever I want. So I can easily expand this iron farm, or I could just build a new one whenever I feel it's finally time for an upgrade. Now that we have an iron farm producing iron in the background, it is time to head into the Nether and collect some Wither Skelly Skulls. Alright, well that didn't actually take all that long. All 3 Wither Skelly Skulls are now collected. And now it is time to go and fight a Wither. Now, with this insane gear we collected last episode, I imagine that this Wither fight should be pretty easy for me. But even then, I still don't want to risk anything and need to be prepared. Meaning, I need to make some potions. Specifically, some strength, regeneration, and instant health potions would all be very useful. And while I'm at it, some buckets of milk would be useful too. And now, it's time for the fight. Here we go. Oh my god, look at how much damage the sword does. Okay, that did so much more damage than I was expecting. I knew my gear was overpowered, but wow. Okay. That wither fight lasted like 30 seconds. And most of that time was just spent waiting for the wither to charge up. That is actually insane. And now, let's craft this world's very first beacon. It is now the next day, and after a night's worth of AFK at this iron farm, we now should have more than enough iron to go ahead and make a full beacon base. Meaning that now it is finally time to go ahead and start work on the harbor that this fishing village is going to be sitting on. So, let's go ahead and get to work. Six hours later, and now we have a mostly dug out harbor. Now, I want to build some custom cliff sides all the way around this area, around the entire inside of the harbor, and just around this entire little peninsula area here, meaning that I now need to go ahead and build a couple of temporary farms, starting with a moss farm. And then I need to build a basalt farm. And finally, I now need to collect a whole lot of tuff. Alright, resources are now collected, and now it is time to go ahead and build some minor cliffs. That took a lot longer than expected, but it is now done and looking absolutely beautiful, might I say. Except for this area back here. I didn't go past this point because I do have future plans to go that away. Also, I don't know exactly what I want to do with this pond, but I do know I want to leave it as a fishing point for people in the village, so I'm going to leave it and we're going to figure out what to do with it a little bit later on. So, what's next? Well, as I'm sure you've already noticed, I have completely flattened most of that land. There was a giant hill. So now it is primed to go ahead and start building the fishing village. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with imports and exports along with some storage areas and the actual docks that are going to sit in the harbor we made. Alright, now that that's done, let's go ahead and fill in some paths along the area, and then build in the central shopping area, consisting of these 8 large buildings here, and these 5 smaller buildings that I'm building now. Also, I added a couple trees and flower gardens for a bit of a nicer touch of nature, and a small pop of color. Okay. Now, most of the area is filled in with stuff, you know, buildings, trees, yada yada yada. But there's of course still more to do. I want to mark where the future cliffs are going to go along this area here. That way, I know where to stop constructing buildings as not to go too far. Okay, now with that done, let's finish off this area right here by where the future cliffs will be. To do that, we're going to add in a handful of these smaller shop buildings, maybe a small garden area along with a nice spot to sit and look out over the pond. Looking good. Now before I start working on this upper area here, let's go ahead and add some small shop tents around the area, along with a couple of trees just to fill in some of the dead space. Now let's finish off this upper area here with 3 of these larger shop buildings, 2 shopping tents, and finally 2 more oak trees. This place is absolutely huge now. I have to say, I definitely didn't realize just how large of a project this would be when I started it. Definitely bit off more than I could chew here. I'm already 2 weeks behind schedule, and even now, I can't believe how much more work there is to do. Meaning I better get back to it. So what's next? Well, now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this area here. So I'm gonna take the night to sleep on it, and in the morning I should have a bit more of an idea, and I'll let you know what I have then. Okay, I think I have it figured out. I want to add a large live fish vendor area where people can go to buy cod, salmon, tropical fish, maybe some exotics like axolotls, just a whole bunch of different live animals. I also have some other cool ideas for this area, and while I have collected most of the resources, this took about 5 hours to collect all this, took way too long, we do need a few more resources, and all of those resources that we still need are copper based. And of course, I'm not going to wait for this copper to oxidize, so we're going to go raid a trial chamber. Now, how am I going to find this trial chamber? Well, I could use chunk base or use my flying camera to go underground and find one. I know that they added these maps to locate them, and well, I haven't ever gotten to use one yet, and lucky for me, this villager right here has one. So what we're going to do is buy a compass from this dude over here, and then we're going to buy ourselves a trial explorer map. And using this map, we will go find our trial chamber. So let's go ahead, grab our trusty steed, and head out to this. Oh, it's over water. Okay, I'm going to have to go grab a boat then, and then we'll head out to the trial chamber. Alright, well, it appears I have made it into the trial chamber. And there we are. Alright, now I am definitely gonna have to be very cautious because last time I was inside one of these, let's just say I lost my hardcore world. I did bring a bad omen potion just in case I want to have some fun with that, but of course the main reason we are here is to take a bunch of copper. But I figure since we're already here, we might as well have some fun and try to get some good loot while we're at it. But before we have any fun, let's get the work done. So let's go ahead and collect a whole bunch of copper, and then we'll have some fun. Alright, 2 full stacks of copper. We can make everything we're gonna need from that. And now, let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun, right? First time raiding a trial chamber in this world. Let's see if we can't get a mace. Considering how overpowered my armor is, I'm not really expecting there to be too much of an issue when it comes to raiding this place. So, I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. And then we'll probably get out of here because I am really excited to get this build going, and as I mentioned earlier, I am definitely running out of time if I want to get this video out on time. Alright, well, we have the copper that we needed. We got 2 stacks of that. I managed to get both of the armor trims out of this place. Honestly, so incredibly lucky. I can't believe I got both of them. Also, I can't believe how many mob heads actually drop. Yeah, I didn't think that that many would drop. I had this pack on Bedrock Edition. I just kind of assumed it had very similar values. It definitely did not. Also, a fun fact that I learned, wind charges. In Java Edition, if you have a full set of netherite armor, you can't jump, like, at all because of the knockback resistance. was not a thing in Bedrock Edition. I had it down to a science, all right? I could jump like 7 blocks. I had it down. Turns out, in Bedrock Edition, netherite armor doesn't actually affect how high you can jump using a wind charge. In Java, nope. In Java, it does though, so the more you know. Anyway, let's head back to base with our newly collected copper and finally finish the final section of this fishing village. This has been such a long project, and I am so happy that it is finally almost completed. All right, let's get to it. There it is. This statue right here, this beautiful, beautiful mermaid statue, while it may have been unexpected to you guys, it actually has an amazing backstory that I've created for it. This statue right here is supposed to be like the goddess of the ocean, all right? People who come through this fishing village, they come to her and they toss something in the fountain and they plead and they pray that she will grant them safe passage, safe travels. But there's something terribly, terribly wrong here. She is currently missing her nautilus shell, which is supposed to be placed right here in her palms. That nautilus shell is where she gets her power. That's how she controls the sea. So we need to get that nautilus shell for her before we finish off this video today. Also, we finished all this stuff. We built up all these beautiful trees. We built up these well, they're not massive, but when you put all of them together, they take up a large surface area here. So massive, I guess. These are just like fish farms, essentially. So you come in here and they're color coded. So the blue is tropical fish. As you'll notice, I don't have any tropical fish, so there's no fish in here yet. But the blue ones will be tropical fish, and there's the most options for them because, well, there's a lot of different tropical fish. Then coming over here, we have this beigeish gray color. It's jungle wood, but I tried to imagine it's grayish. And this is for cod, a relatively small area. Cod is not that popular within this community. The pink is your exotics, so axolotls, pufferfish, exotics. Actually, I haven't decided. Should pufferfish be with the exotics or tropical fish? You'll have to let me know down below in the comments because probably not going to be fully stocking these things today anyway, so let me know which way I should sort pufferfish. And then finally, over here is the red, and the red is salmon. Salmon, very popular. Everyone loves eating it around these parts. That's why there are some massive salmon barrels. Also, as you can hear, I have not spawn-proofed underneath this new section yet. I need to do that. It's pretty bad, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, this area is absolutely beautiful looking. I am so pleased with how full the city looks. However, there's still a lot to do. Of course, there's still a pretty large area right here that I would like to fill with something. I'm not entirely sure what yet, but something. What I do know, though, is that I have a flower garden over here with a tree in it. So I think put one of these right in the center area right here. Maybe a little bit larger, and I'll set up like benches for people to sit on around this area. I kind of want this just to be a chill like hangout spot where people can try and relax and enjoy their day after sailing out at sea. So they can come in, dock, and they can rest. And I definitely want to put some of the brand new wildflowers in this area. I also want to put those brand new wildflowers in this flower garden over here. I've got a smaller one right there. Didn't fully fill it because I want to put wildflowers along the edges, just like I have with the pink petals here. Now, fun fact, the brand new update is out. It came out yesterday. However, not all of my mods are updated yet. Actually, I think like only 3 of them are, and I have quite a few. So I don't know when I'll be upgrading, but it's probably not going to be for at least a month or 2. So probably by the time the next game drop comes out, I'll just be upgrading to 21.5. Now, here's the deal. I am leaving to go on a bit of a trip Friday night, meaning if this video is going up on Saturday morning like I want it to, I have to finish this video tomorrow, which is Thursday. So we're only going to be able to get a few more things done. So we really have to pick what is important enough to get done in this episode. So Nautilus Shell and Main Street. And then if we have any extra time, I want to get that garden right here to fill the space a bit more. Decorating the rest of this area will be something that we do live on streams. So if you do want to see that, you should definitely subscribe. Because starting next week, I'm going to be trying to live stream at least 2 times a week, preferably 3. And on those live streams is also where I would do the interiors for all these buildings, because I'm not doing all of that in this video. All right, well, I don't exactly want to go hunt a Nautilus shell right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and decorate Main Street. All right, back from the starter house, I just collected a whole bunch of random stuff to hopefully start decorating Main Street with. Also, I had to make a brand new statues book. I've really got to get a storage system up there or some sort of organization because I can't find anything. It's absolutely awful. Yeah, I got to do something with it. Anyway, that is not the focus of right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang some wool bits. Probably from there to there, because I think that's probably all I'm gonna have enough for. If I can do another one, I'll do from like there to there, and we're just gonna see what it looks like. I also got a couple of banners. I got some chains and lanterns, so we're gonna try and get some things hanging across, and then we'll add a couple of armor stands down here just to kind of get the feel for what this might look like. All right, so it's just a little something. There's only one. I'll have to add more for sure. But that's just a little rough idea of what this will look like. Now imagine that all across the street. I think Main Street will look absolutely incredible with this. Definitely going to work on adding more. But before I do that, I've put down a singular armor stand so far. I plan to add a lot more, of course, but just want to give you guys a little idea of what I might be doing here. So this is going to be our suspicious little Wandy T here. And I want him to be holding this blue bag, so I've set him up. Now the bag is not being held the way I want it to be, so what we're going to do is we're going to lock this armor stand. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm setting up another armor stand so that I can get the bag in the correct position on the wandering trader. All right, there we go. Now it looks like he's holding this bag. And now we will go ahead and lock the second armor stand. So now neither one of them can be messed with. And look at him. He's walking across the street with a bag. And so imagine just people all over the street buying stuff from vendors, just like a crazy crowded market. I think it's going to look absolutely incredible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a few more of these banners. I'm going to add a few more people, and we'll regroup once I have all of that in place. All right, well, as you can tell, some work has been done. Now, I haven't actually added that many of the hanging wool bits. I spent instead 45 to 60 minutes, I'm not sure exactly how long, but somewhere in that area, making some armor stands. So we now have a bit of a scene going here. So I decided to do like the shop front for this one building, and the purple means it's an alchemist shop, so it's got exotic items. So I had to decide what an exotic item was. So we got wind charges, ominous bottles, echo shard, amethyst cluster, and then we got some action going on here. So this dude, first of all, just bought an exotic item. He's got an ominous bottle in his hand, and he is walking away. Then we got this dude just kind of waving to the shop tender. I guess they're buddy-buddy, they know each other. This dude, I'm not sure what his deal is. Maybe he just bought the wind charge. Maybe he's trying to return the wind charge. Maybe it's a defective wind charge. Really, we don't know. That's for us to decide. All that we know is he's coming back to the shop with a wind charge. And then finally, over here, we got this dude walking away from Main Street with his bag of goodies. Did he buy something? Was it good? Did he buy nothing? We will never know. But it's in that bag. Again, up to our imagination, you can decide. Now, this is just a small taste of what I want this entire village to be like. Not even just this village, what I want this entire world to look like. I want people and story just everywhere. And, well, let's put it quite simply, I need your help. In order to just fill up this village with people, I need a lot of ideas. So, what is going to happen with that? I want your ideas. That's right, you. Let me know down below in the comments what you want an armor stand to be doing, and I will add it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. This way you guys get to be a part of the world somehow, and, well, I get to fill the world up and keep it looking beautiful. Alright, now I do want to do more of Main Street today, but like I said, I'm on a time crunch. I got less than 24 hours to finish this video, so we need to get our mermaid goddess for conduit. And while I was gonna say I'll just do this tomorrow, it'll take me like 2 hours. Fun fact, as a Bedrock Edition veteran, I assumed that this would be real quick and easy. Did some research. Not so easy to get Nautilus shells in Java Edition. However, what I do know is that I have 2 buried treasure maps from shipwrecks just dotted around this area, and I'm not sure if you can find Nautilus shells in buried treasure in Java Edition. I hope you can, but even if you can't, I already need to come over here to try and get the heart of the sea. So what we're gonna do is have a little bit of a treasure hunt. Should be fun. Well, that was really quick. About 5.5 minutes to actually get that heart of the sea. Also, I found a drowned city, killed a drown with a Nautilus shell. Did a little bit more research, just checked the wiki again. You can't get Nautilus shells out of buried treasure. The only way to get them is either from a wandering trader or from a drowned. And if you see a drowned with one, it's guaranteed to drop it. But the chance of one spawning with a Nautilus shell is only 3%. Alternatively, if you had Luck of the Sea 3, I could go fishing. Then, though, it's below 2% chance, so still not that great odds. Unfortunately, my best option is probably just to wait until nighttime and kill drowns. Also, I can just sail around and hopefully find another drowned city. So, yep, that's where I'm at. Hopefully this won't take too long. Well, as you saw there in that little time-lapse clip thing, killing drowned was not working for me, so I built up a AFK fish farm. Which, again, as a Bedrock veteran player, Java Edition fish farms are so overcomplicated. And I do now understand why they're so overcomplicated, but this is absurd for a fish farm. In Bedrock, it was literally 12 blocks and you had a working AFK fish farm. Nonetheless, we got the shells. We actually got one extra shell too, so little treasure, I guess. And with that, we can now craft our conduit. There's no advancement for that? I don't get like a pop-up on screen, really? Okay, well that's kind of lame. And with that, we have officially completed our fishing village. At least for today. Like I mentioned before, there is a bit of a time-sensitive aspect to this, but really, I've been working on this project for the last month. Every single second of my free time has been spent working on this fishing village. And don't get me wrong, it has come a very, very long way, and I am so proud of how far it has come. But there is still more to do, and it definitely still needs some more final touches. For today, this project is done. And it's going to stay that way for at least the next 300 days, because I cannot possibly fathom the idea of working in this village any longer. I need a break. I need a change of scenery. I need something different. So that is exactly what we're going to do. But before we do that, I would officially like to acknowledge that we are on day 499. And as you may notice, the sun is currently setting over the horizon. So to finish this project, at least for now, let's go ahead, place down our bed, and sleep right in front of the goddess of the ocean. And with that, we are officially on day 500. We are officially halfway through our first 1,000 days in this world. Actually incredible. I can't believe we have already come that far in such little time. I mean, I've only had this world for about 6 weeks, so that's absolutely incredible. Anyway, I would like to thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you made it this far, please don't forget, tell me what you want to see people doing in this village, and I will add them. Also, give me some ideas for future projects, because while I know what I'm making for my next 2 projects, I would love to get some of your suggestions in this world. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, where last episode we built somewhere around 80% of this fishing village. Now, of course, it's not 100% completed, and there's still some work to do, but I don't really want to work on this project today. I need a bit of a break. So today we're going to be working on a fully automatic sawmill. That's right, fully automatic. This project is going to be super cool in the end. You're going to be able to click some buttons to select what wood type you want and what block you want to be crafted out of it. And then upon hitting a button, all of those items will be crafted and delivered straight to your player. Should be a really good time and a really cool build. So we better get into it. All right, well, I think that this right here is the perfect spot for our sawmill. Right off the edge of this river. Of course, we have to chop down a whole lot of forest before we can actually build the sawmill, but that's really not a big deal. So this sawmill location is going to be right in this area here, right next to this river. And if you notice, this river, follow it all the way to the ocean, and it puts you out right by the iron farm that we made last video. So the way that we can look at this really is boats will come in here, they'll pick up the lumber, and they can take the lumber all the way into the docks at the fishing village we made in the last episode. So everything is going to kind of be working together little by little. Okay, well, before we can really start putting the buildings where we think they'll look good and designing what they're going to look like, we got to get rid of this forest. So real quickly, let's make this forest disappear. Alright, so the forest has now completely disappeared around the area, which is perfect for what we're going to be doing today. However, we do now need to kind of flatten out some of this land before we can start planning the space, because if we come down to this level here, that is nowhere near level for a building. So let's go to the fishing village, collect the beacon, and then we can level out this area. All right, well, now that we have gotten all of that done, we did most of the terraining for this area. Maybe you can start to see what I've got in mind for this. So this is going to be like a mini dock area here. You can come up this path into what will be the center of our logging facility. So just over here, I've got a bit of a hole started. This is going to be one of the 5 different tree farms that we are building today. So this is going to be the mangrove tree farm hole, and I have the building designed that will go on top of this. But before we can actually build that building, we have to dig this hole all the way down to actually be able to fit our tree farm. So this has to go down to about 30, Y level 30, I believe. So somewhere around here in order for this tree farm to actually be able to fit inside this area. Now, as you can tell, I did start digging it, but it does take a little while. So to have a little bit more fun with this and speed the process up, hopefully, I have made an explosive device. Yeah, okay. So we pull this lever, step back, and watch it go. I think you get the idea. So I'm going to continue doing that and hopefully get through this entire chunk of area here relatively quickly. Oh, well, maybe not that quickly. There's a water cave here. But yeah, hopefully this will go decently quickly so I don't have to spend hours upon hours digging out a hole. And I'll bring you guys back once I actually have this hole dug out. All right, so the hole is officially dug, and as you can tell, I have the schematic lined up inside of it. So this tree farm, I will be linking the creator down in the description. He actually created 3 of the 5 different farms that we are building today, so be sure to check him out. Very good guy. All right, so let's go ahead and build this tree farm. Well, the mangrove tree farm is officially completed, which is really exciting. And as you can tell, I did give it a little bit of a test run already. Works pretty well, if I do say so myself. Link for this farm will be down in the description. Now, because this thing doesn't actually make anywhere near enough propagules to actually self-sustain it, I made this little propagule farm down here. But, oh, hello. But I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really think it worked all that great, so I'm gonna have to design one because, yeah, no tutorials have had like a really good one yet. But the way this farm works is your propagules would go in here, and the way this would work is you would flick the lever, and it would dispense it out to you, and if you pick it up, it'll keep dispensing. Now, I don't have enough to really use that system, so I'm not going to. And then the same thing would work with the bone meal, and it would be in this dispenser here, and it would fall out. But I don't have anywhere near enough bone meal to actually do that, so I'm just going to keep it in my inventory. I do have to make a big bone meal farm out here somewhere to supply all these farms, because otherwise I don't have any bone meal to be running these. And you need bone meal to power the propagule farm and all the other farms, so definitely gonna have to get a bone meal farm. Anyway, let's go ahead and give this farm a quick test run, shall we? So this right here will turn on the TNT duper. And then we come out here, we line ourselves up, and we just hold down right click. And now I have run out of bone meal, but the TNT will then just go, it'll blow everything up. Works really well. And then the items would get sorted down here. So down here is where we have a little bit of an item sorter type thing. This is supposed to be an item sorter. I do have to actually set it up to sort items. Anyway, that is the mangrove tree farm, and the other tree farms are pretty much the exact same design. This is supposed to be a universal tree farm, so the nether tree farm and then the normal ones like oak, spruce, birch, they are the exact same farm, but they have slight modifications to work for the other tree types. Then there's a completely separate farm for the 2x2 trees, of course, so the dark oak and pale oak. And then the fifth farm is going to be some sort of a bamboo farm, because bamboo wood is a thing in the game. Anyway, now that we have this whole farm working, let's go ahead and build the structure that is going to be covering this farm. And then afterwards, let's build the next farm. So I intend to put one right here. This is probably going to be the normal tree farm. And then up here is going to be the 2x2 tree farm, so dark oak and pale oak. So I'm going to go ahead, get the materials, and build that structure, and then let's dig 2 more holes, shall we? All right, everybody. So here is the first building that is going to be in this little sawmill area. It's a very small and basic building. It's just a little house for a lumberjack to live in. But in addition to the actual house portion, so this with the mangrove roof is supposed to be like the living quarters. But then we have like a garage / workshop attached to it for like personal projects and storing lumber and whatnot. Now, of course, the garage is actually just where the redstone for our explosive devices. So you can see through the garage door that's slightly opened, the TNT duper machine. We already did our in-depth look / tutorial at how to use the tree farm, so we don't need to do that again. But yeah, it's a really cute little thing. I've got a pile of logs out here in the front, and then around back, I've got another little pile of logs. Very cute. And then, like I said I was going to, I have dug 2 more holes. So over here, we've got a hole for the next normal tree farm. Now this one, as you notice, I left this really thin portion. What I did with the mangrove one was I just dug it the same size all the way down. But the TNT only needs this tiny little sliver to fall. And then mangrove trees are huge, so I probably did have to dig most of this out anyway. But for normal trees like oak and spruce, it shouldn't really be a problem. I think this should work. The only issue I see possibly occurring would be with cherry trees. So I may have to remove a few more layers to get cherry trees to work right, but I'm hoping that I won't need to. I think it'll work okay. And then up here, I dug another hole for the 2x2 tree farm. This one is very different in size, of course. It's a different design, like I said. The fellow who designed the universal tree farm over here, which is what we're using for the mangrove, the normal, and the nether trees, did not design the 2x2. This is a completely different farm, so it's a whole different setup. But nonetheless, I've got the 2 holes ready for those 2 farms, and over here, I've got all the redstone materials for both farms, and then, in addition to that, I've already collected all the resources for the buildings that are going to be covering both farms. So I think now let's go ahead and quickly build up both of these tree farms along with both buildings that are going to be covering the tree farms, and then we'll take a bit more of an in-depth look at the design of the buildings. Of course it starts raining as soon as I press the record button. Why wouldn't it? Anyway, as you saw from the time lapse, these 2 buildings are now completed, and they both have fully functional tree farms below them. But now it's time to talk about the design, because these are actually some amazing buildings. I really, really like what I did up there with that one. But first, let's look at this one. As far as detail goes, I think this building was definitely more detailed than that one. They both still look absolutely wonderful. Again, no interior quite yet. Now this building, for its functionality, this is another just kind of house for the lumberjacks to live in. There's going to be a total of 7 buildings up here. 6 or 7, I think 7. So not all 7 have to be, you know, workshops. They need a place for people to live. So this, definitely an older house. The style is somewhat similar to that of my starter house. If you can tell. I don't really know if you can tell, it's very different, but I did start with like that exact same shape and idea in mind. It took a pretty different route actually with the block palette and everything, but I think it looks wonderful. So we'll have to do an interior for this eventually, people to live here, and then we're gonna have to add a nice easy way down to these tree farms, because this one I can get away with just using the scaffolding, but this one, that does, well, actually that could work if I just add a little staircase here. But on the 2x2, it definitely doesn't work. So we'll have to think about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 2x2 right now. So this building, it's pretty basic, little bare bones, just some tough and pale moss, a piece of cobblestone. So we got the pile of logs outside, and then if we head inside the factory here, this is where they're actually like taking the logs and cutting them. I wanted to use stone cutters, but you know, it's a slab, so it wouldn't line up correctly with the full log block. So I chose to use 2 iron bars as what's splitting the logs. And we'll have to do an interior. I'm probably just going to have some logs piled up, ready to get split. And then I don't know what to do for a split log. So the idea is these logs are getting cut in half, and then they're flowing down these aqueducts. Like here's a log here, and they're going onto this thing that's launching them into the water. And the idea with this is if you actually wanted just the logs, like you didn't want lumber, a boat coming by could come by, they could toss some chains out in the water and grab the logs and then pull them alongside the boat and just kind of sail off. They don't really have to make a stop in the dock to haul these things on. They're just right there in the ocean. Throw a chain, you're good to go. The issue here is these are all full logs, so I don't know how to make it look like a half log block. Because, you know, we don't have half log, like vertical slabs. I'm not exactly sure how to do this. I could just do slabs, but then it doesn't have that bark texture, you know? It's then a plank texture, so I'm not sure what to do with that. If you have ideas, please let me know down below, because I kind of need help. But yeah, this is where the logs are actually getting cut so that they can be then turned into lumber. So next up, we're going to build the moss farm, which isn't going to really be related to the lumber facilities at all. It's going to be like this little building out in the woods, a little rundown. Maybe this is where they're kind of growing food out here or something. I haven't fully worked out the story for that building yet. I will work on that as I design it, but before we can design it or dig the hole for that moss farm or any of that stuff, we have to do more landscaping. I guess I just got to go ahead and take this down a few more layers, and then we can talk about the moss farm. Did you think you were about to see another time lapse? We've already had enough of those, so instead, I'm going to show you this.
Chicken jockey!
And would you look at that, the landscaping is now completed. But wait, there's even more. In addition to finishing the landscaping, I built the moss farm. So I went ahead, I found a decent tutorial on YouTube, again, linked down below in the description, and then I added this little automatic crafter thing to it. So I then just kind of left this running while I went to go see the Minecraft movie, and got a whole bunch of bone blocks in the process. So all in all, pretty good. And in addition to that, I've also designed what the building is going to look like. But we still got to get the resources for that. So let's go do that. And with all the resources having quickly been collected, it is now time to go ahead and build this thing. So let's go ahead and put a quick little chair here. We can go ahead and add a little bit of a water spigot here. Now let's fill in this edge of our balcony. And now I just gotta place a whole bunch of composters. And of course, once again, the second I hit record, it begins to rain. Curse you, thunder god. Anyway, I have finished the cottage, and it's actually I'm missing 2 composters. Much better. So I have finished the cottage, and it's actually quite cute. From the front, the roof is on like a diagonal here, so it's a little weird when you look at the A-frame because of the way it lines up. Also, those 2 blocks should have been deep slate. But from the back, there's none of that weird stuff, and just in general, I've got a really awesome little scene set up here. Not to mention, when you're coming over this hill to actually get to this village, which is how I've been going back and forth with my horse, you can see it up there, and in the sun, it does look a lot nicer. Again, curse the rain. So when we come over here, we've got a spot to tie my horse. Then we've got a little spot where we're chopping firewood. We got a campfire set up here so I can chill. And then over here, we've got this little lumber setup. So they're actually chopping the lumber and using the armor stand stuff. I've gone ahead and got an axe like in this head. So that looks really cool. I also got some tools hung up on the wall back here. And then something that I was really proud of, I set up this little like water well to get water. Now, the fact that it's attached to the side of the house probably doesn't make much sense at all, but I think it looks really cool, so I don't want to hear it. Now, this is the only building I have actually done an interior for so far this world, so get ready. Here we go, a little interior, and this is not anything pretty, I know, but it does work. So if you remember, I showed you this. I set it up. Well, I did a little bit of modifications. So now, the lever to turn it on is actually inside the house. So you can pull the lever, and it turns on the farm. And then also the bone blocks that you're actually going to get from this will now be shot all the way up through these bubble columns and float up into this storage chest right here. So every single aspect of this farm can be controlled from inside the building. Also, over here, I've got a
Sweet blade.
Yep, looking really cool. And then if we head upstairs, I've just got a very basic little area, spot to sleep, a little desk, and then we can go out on this front balcony here. Now, I do have the capabilities of adding in like a 3rd attic level. I didn't actually do anything with it, but if you have any ideas for that, maybe we add it. Now, I don't actually have a person living in this house yet, but the idea is the person who's living here was here long before this logging camp showed up. So the logging camp showed up long after this was already here. They just kind of moved in, started chopping down trees, setting up infrastructure. And this dude, maybe they do know about it, maybe they don't. Who knows? All I know for sure is the people who established the logging camp don't know about it yet. Not yet. They probably will in the very near future, but not quite yet. Anyway, that means that this entire area is really starting to look quite nice. So we've got a couple more buildings that we need to add, a bamboo farm, the nether tree farm, and then the central building, which I've yet to really mention what that is, and we're going to keep it that way until we get these next 2 finished. So let's real quickly rapid fire both of these. Well, I am happy to announce that I have completed the 2 buildings I said I was going to make, and I decided to add a 3rd one. So we are almost done with this area in terms of buildings. Of course, we're going to have to actually decorate the environment, but just one more building to go.
But before we do that, let's go ahead and actually take a look at these 3 right here. So this first building right here, this is where they actually make the furniture. So I got 3 little things that they make up top. And heading inside, it's just a bit of a workshop. So we got this little workbench here. They're crafting something. I want to use the armor stand mod to add some sort of thing being worked on here. And then over here, this is supposed to be like a sanding wheel. Here I got a bit of a table saw so they can cut boards to size. And then I just got a whole bunch of furniture that has been finished and is over here ready to go. And it's just waiting to be shipped out the back door over to the docks and brought to wherever it's going to go to be sold. Also, I added a actual exit to the nether tree farm. Previously, I just had to like dig out of here. So now I can officially just climb out. I don't get stuck in a hole. So that's lovely. Yeah, this is a really cool little build. I like the roof. It's a little weird looking because one side's longer than the other, but I think it adds a really unique little piece of character to the build, and I absolutely love it. Then we have this building. Now this is going to be the milling storage facility. So in here is where they store the lumber that they use to make the furniture and the plywood. So the trapdoors is really, really thin. That's why it is the plywood. And then the slabs is, the lumber, because the way this stuff works is they take the tree and they just kind of saw it long ways into multiple pieces, and it's probably not actually this big, but for Minecraft's sake, it's that big. So this building doesn't actually have any function, but I think it adds a lot of atmosphere and story to this logging camp, so I absolutely love it. And then finally, there is this building, where they actually do the milling of the lumber and plywood. So heading inside this building, this is the machine that actually mills the lumber. So you would take the logs that were cut over there, you'd load them up right here, and using the control panel, you could adjust the height and then mill it down. Now here, they already have some lumber, and they're currently milling that down into the plywood. And I know that's not actually how plywood is made, but for our sake, let's just say it is. And then the idea is you can control the height of this bar right here, or the saw blades, so that you can either cut plywood or this lumber. And you would do that from this control panel. Now the control panel actually has a function. So this control panel actually works our entire bamboo farm. Now the way this works is we have this lever over here. This will determine what mode it is in. So if it's in manual, this observer should have a block behind it for it to work automatically. So in manual mode, we just remove that block. Although we could switch it to automatic, at which case, whenever the bamboo actually grows in front of the observer and is ready to go, the farm will automatically harvest itself and repeat. Most of the time, though, we will have this farm in manual mode. Now, then we got 2 indicator lights and the harvest button. So this light right here will tell us if the farm is ready to be harvested. Right now, it is not, and we can clearly see that. Now, to get that signal, I'm using this exact same observer for automatic mode. When the bamboo grows in front of it, it will send out another signal going all the way to my light, and it will ping the light. So when that grows up, that will mean that this gets activated, and I know the farm is ready to be harvested. So then I can click this button, which will send out the flying machine. And when I click that button, it will activate this light right here, telling me that there is a harvest in progress. However, if you press the button before the farm is actually ready to be harvested, you might break it. Because right here, the way this would work is when I click this button, the observer would get activated a second time to deactivate the light. Because it wasn't actually ready to grow, that did break the system, so I actually have to come back here and manually reset it. But if you actually waited till this light was on to activate it, it would automatically turn itself back off. So yeah, it fully works and it's really cool. Also, I totally forgot to show off this detail, so real quickly, on these 2 buildings right here, I added levers under this overhang, and it's kind of like supports holding up the roof a little bit, holding up this overhang. It's a really small detail, and from a distance, you don't even really notice them. Like you can barely see them over there unless I zoom in.
But when I'm down a level like here, so as I'm walking in, you can see these little sticks hanging out as supports, and they just look so incredibly cool. So glad I decided to add those. Anyway, as the sun is setting here on day 704, wow. Anyway, as the sun is setting here on day 704, it is time for us to go ahead and start working on the final building for this area. Now, this building is by far the coolest simply because of what is going inside of it. I have designed the absolute coolest redstone machine I have ever designed to go inside of this building, and I'm so excited to show it off. So real quickly, let's just go ahead and get this building here. Okay, would you look at that building? It is 100% completed, looking pretty nice. And if we come on inside here, I've got a little bit of a log storage. Reminds me a lot of like Menards, but the idea is you come in here and you can buy whatever log you need. So that's pretty nice. I got all the logs available in the game right here in the log hall. This was supposed to be like a funny pun, but I don't think it's actually that funny. So please give me a funnier pun in the description. Then in here is where they sell the finished furniture pieces from the workshop over there that is covering the nether tree farm, I think that was. Now, this build doesn't really look like much if we're going to be realistic. It looks very similar to some of these other builds around here. It's just a big building. All right, there's not too much going on until we get down below where the absolute incredible redstone machine I designed is sitting. So this right here is my insane redstone machine. If we just zoom out a little bit, absolutely colossal. I've spent the last 2 days, real life actually, wiring in this mess of hoppers and connecting up every single tree farm to this thing. Yeah, this has been an absolute mess. Like I said, 2 real life days. This has actually been so incredibly painful to wire up. However, it fully works, and this is more or less how you use it. So over here, you can select what wood type you want the system to use. Now, if the light above the wood type is on, that means you are out of that wood type. I do have the most bamboo though, so we're just going to use that for our demonstration. Then this panel over here is where you select what item you want to be crafted. So for our demonstration, let's go ahead and craft, actually let's just do logs right now. And then over here, you can select how many logs you want the system to use. So there's 1 log, 2 log, 16, 32, and 64. For our demonstration, let's just do like 2 logs because why not? And then you hit the go button and the system will do its thing. So now we would just come over here and patiently wait for our items to get dispensed. And there we are, 2 bamboo logs. The system has a delay on it, so when this light turns off is when you can click the button again to actually use the machine again. And there it is. Now, the idea here is if you're using one of these crafting recipes where there's a chance for leftover items to be stuck inside of a crafter, you're supposed to hit this button to empty out any leftover resources of the crafters. And when that's done, it will also play a jingle. Now, of course, we just got 2 logs, so there's not going to be any leftover items, but if there were, that's what you would do. All right, so just to show you a bit more use of this, we're going to do 16 logs, spruce wood, and let's do slabs because this is actually resources that I'm going to need. So let's activate that system. And now we would just come over here and wait for all of our slabs to get produced. This is not the fastest system by any means. It would most certainly be quicker to just go ahead and craft this stuff by yourself with a nice organized storage system. However, this is really, really fun and it's incredibly cool. So I mean,
you know, I definitely want to use it. I will say though, Mojang, please do not add another wood type for a while. There is no room down here for me to add another system module if you add another wood type. So I'd have to like add another panel back here somewhere. Mojang, just could you give me a couple years with this thing working and looking nice before you add another wood type that I'd have to deal with? Please. And there we go, all of our spruce slabs. And now again, system wipe. As you just heard there, some items were disposed of because in this case there were leftovers, but yeah, it's a really fun little system and I'm so incredibly proud of it. This is the most advanced system I have ever made. However, there's one more thing we got to do with it. We have to actually decorate this room down here. And I think I know exactly how to do that. If we just go ahead and head back upstairs, I am very confident that when we hit this button again, the room will be fully decorated. And now as we head back down into the room, the decorations have magically appeared. So let's go ahead and take a bit of a deeper look. And also while this is running, I'm going to go ahead and get a couple spruce slabs because I need some of these for the project I'm working on right now. So first of all, as you can tell, the entire machine has been covered in this dark oak trim, along with stripped spruce logs at the top. Now this whole area is not very deep, so I've gone ahead and kind of played with the idea that there are tree roots and plants and stuff just kind of hanging down from the foliage up above. Of course, there isn't anything up here right now, but in the future there will be stuff up there. Then I went ahead and added this little bit of a crafting area because while I am getting items here, let's say I get sticks and slabs and planks and stuff, maybe I gotta craft some fence posts or some barrels, whatever it may be. And then over here, I decided to add an area for extra bits because when it comes down to using this machine, I might end up getting a few more resources than I actually end up needing. So extras can now be stored over here. And I classified this based off of what item it was that you were crafting, and I grouped a whole bunch of them together. So over here, we got stairs, slabs, and planks for these 4 containers. Then we got doors, plates, and buttons. So pressure plates, trapdoors, doors, and buttons will go here. Logs will go in here. And then sticks, chicks, and bits. Yeah, so that would be sticks and chests, and then whatever else I might craft with this stuff. So say I craft composters or, I don't know, a loom or whatever random item it may be, they can go over here. Now, this is my first time ever actually using pale moss as like this subtle decoration. I used the carpets too. I think it turned out fantastic. I absolutely love how this build ended up. My only complaint is this one pillar right here. I had to add a call button. So if I send this up, because I added this nether portal, let's say I came through and the machine was up, I needed a way to actually get it down. So I added a call button. And the only way to actually do that, of course, is to have a redstone signal go power the system at the top. So I mean, if you're looking at this from the nether portal, it's not bad. Or from over here, it's not bad. But once you turn around, it's not pretty. It doesn't really seem to bother me that much, though. So I'm just kind of ignoring it. And it's working out pretty well for me. Now, I want to show you this little proof of concept I've done over here. I decided to start working a little bit on the landscaping in this area. And this like cliffside or hillside, whatever you want to call it, from here all the way up to probably about there. This is just my little proof of concept for what I think I'm going to do for this area. And this is what we're going to do next. We're going to decorate this whole area. Then we're probably going to do this pathway and the dock area, just this whole section here. And then once these 2 are done, we'll start working our way up, just completely covering this area with trees and little campfires and log piles and all these other random little details. But first, we got to do this hillside. And I think this is a okay block palette. Of course, it's using deep slate and tough. which are both resources I can't farm and I don't have a whole lot of. So I'm hoping this won't use too many. It's really not that big of a hillside, especially compared to what we did in the last episode. So yeah, I'm going to fill this in and we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully it won't be that bad. And on the morning of day 800, I have managed to complete this little cliffside here. Looking good, looking good. Here's a bit more of that aerial view from the time lapse. Looks really quite nice, and on the map too, looks very cool. So very glad we got this in. I will say I was nowhere near happy with how it was looking until I started adding the like mob head mini blocks. The player head mini blocks or whatever they're called. They really brought this thing together, looking like little rocks or stuff just kind of sitting on this cliffside. Very pleased. So now that we have this cliffside built up and in place, I think that the next logical step is going to be to start with this dock area right here and then work our way up. So let's go ahead, work on this dock, and then we'll build up something to cover this ugly cliffside back here. So we're probably not going to go as far like we did here, but just a small little something in this area to kind of cover it up, make it look a bit more in place. And then we'll start slowly working our way up until we complete the entire thing. Now, I don't really know what I want to do for this dock, at all. So I'm just going to go grab some wood and let's see what I can cook up. I feel like because this place is a bunch of, lumberjacks and woodworkers, they should be a bit more experienced, meaning that their dock and whatever structures they make should be a bit more elegant and refined. So I do think we need to do something a little bit more than just a bunch of dirt on the floor and some tents like we did at the fishing village. Hopefully I can figure something out. If I keep building cliffs like this, I'm definitely going to have to set up some sort of a mining facility or like a sawmill building, stoneworker or something like that. Pretty similar to this village because I keep running out. This is ridiculous. I've been to the mines 4 different times while working on this project now. Absolutely absurd. However, this is looking pretty good. Per typical of this episode, the rain has just started as I'm ready to hit record, but I'm happy to announce that this miniature cliff over here is completed, and now it's time to actually go ahead and start building the dock, which I did have a wonderful idea on what I might do for this, but I'm not too sure it's going to work out or that I really like it, so I'm just going to mess around with some stuff and we'll see if it turns out to be good. Alright people, so I wasn't doing regular check-ins because I just did a live stream, 2.5 hour stream. It was a really good time. Seriously, if you guys want to join in the streams a bit more, you should seriously subscribe and turn on notifications because I'm streaming a lot more these days and it's a really good time. But if we step on out here, a lot more stuff has happened. So now we have completely finished this cliffside here. And I've added a lot more. So the dock is fully completed now, completely filled with details. I, of course, want to add some armor stand people around the area, which have not done yet. That's going to be very final thing. So we're not doing that yet. But down here in the dock, we've got an actual little docking area here for a boat to come up alongside. Then over here, we have a crane that can load pallets on. So the idea is a boat, a diagonal boat, similar to the one we've got with the iron farm in it, could come up along here and stop, and they could get loaded up or unloaded with whatever materials, whether it be plywood or logs or just finished building products like bookshelves or lecterns or desks or whatever it may be. They can pick that stuff up. Then over here, we got another pallet that's ready to get loaded up onto a boat after that one. And we got a pile of logs that are ready to be shipped off to wherever they may be going. Also, I saw this on Pinterest and I thought it was a really cool idea. I'm not really sure what the story is behind it, but it fills up a little area, so takes up some space.
that I definitely needed to get filled, and it looks really cool. So I like it. Also, fun little detail over here. Why? Every time I hit record, it starts raining. Why? Also over here, so the weight on the back of the crane, that, you know, the counterweight. I added some details so like rocks are falling off. And over here is a rock that's like in the process of falling. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add an armor stand under here that's like, or whatever. Like maybe they're not expecting it, or there's someone like laying on the ground unconscious. Something along those lines. I think that'll be really funny. So I'll definitely be adding that. So yeah, I mean, a whole lot changed, but in reality, there's not really that much to look at. It's just a lot of terraining, really. We did all this pathway all the way up to here. And then I decided to stop right before we got into the village area. This is going to be tomorrow's project. I'm just going to start tilling dirt all around. And I'm probably going to just start growing some 2x2 spruce trees. And I'm going to be using those to spread pods all around the area. So it's looking really good. I'm really pleased with how this is turning out so far. So yeah, let's go ahead and real quickly turn this entire area into this messy dirt pattern, just all over the entire thing, and then we'll regroup and go from there. Alright, well, quick little time lapse there, and as you can tell, the entire area has now been covered in this dirt mess. Most places, not everywhere, but vast majority. Also, in case you didn't notice, my levels have dropped by 30, and no, I didn't die and cheat my way into this. Check this out, I found some brand new mod, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but it's called Better Than Mending. So if you have levels in your XP bar, when you crouch and right click, they go into your mending tool. It's actually really cool. I don't know if I'm going to keep it because it does kind of feel a little cheaty, but that's what happened to all my levels. As you can see, I didn't cheat, I promise. Anyway, it is now time to go ahead and start adding trees around this area. And before I go ahead and do that, I kind of want to show you how I am doing this. So let's go ahead and take a look at my testing world real quick, shall we? Alright, here in my testing world, where I've got all kinds of stuff laying around, I've designed a handful of trees, and in Axiom, I've set up this little stamp tool with all of those trees preloaded in it, so I can just drag around. Well, they're not on the ground because I made a few changes, but you get the idea. I can just kind of print down a forest, and so this is how I'm going to get the actual forest layout. I'm going to use the stamp tool to get all the trees generated. And then using Lightmatica, I'm going to create a schematic. I'm going to pop it down in the area, go collect all the resources, and then build up all the trees. Also, using the stamp tool, these trees will be randomly rotated and positioned around differently. So you're going to have a completely unique and randomly generated forest every single time you use the tool, which I think is going to be really cool. And if you do this like on a much larger scale, actually on the ground, it looks absolutely fantastic. But I don't want to ruin all of that surprise yet. So real quickly, let's jump into the final time lapse of this episode and build a beautiful pine forest, shall we? All right, everybody, take it in. Is it not absolutely stunning? Now, there are still 100% some finer details that need to be added to the forest, and especially in the back section of the forest where there isn't really much of the terraining done on the ground. Now, I mean, up here I didn't do too much terraining. I just kind of chucked in some podzol and some moss in some places, but it still really helps boost the effect. Now, of course, I want to add bushes and I want to add some other things in here. I have some really cool ideas to add mobs in here, like foxes. I want to add some fox burrows around. I think it'd be cool to see a fox like jumping through the woods. I would love to get some of those cold chickens in here from the new update. I think that would look really cool. And I really, really want to get leaf litter just all over the place. However, I'm still in version 1.21.4 because I'm waiting on a couple more mods to get upgraded before I can jump to the next version. So for all intents and purposes today, this is pretty much done. I can't do too much more of what I want to do in terms of final details until these mods get upgraded. And I'm not waiting a whole nother week to hopefully be able to add these details. But this is absolutely stunning. Like, it's just incredible. Also, doggos. I got plenty of dogs. Oh, you know what we should do? I could also add some wolves around, like add some of these black wolves just walking through the forest. I would have to go find not tamed ones though and like lead them back home because I would want them to be walking around. I think that could add a really cool feel to the area. See wolves just walking around hunting stuff. That could be so cool. Yeah, this place is absolutely stunning. Could you imagine if I took this to the next level where I chopped down all of this forest pretty much and just made this all a custom pine forest? Would that be insane? Would I be crazy to do that? I mean, that is a huge area just over here, but to go all of this too, down below, you guys are going to definitely have to tell me whether I should do that or not, because that would be so cool, but that would be like a month of just building trees. If I am going to do it, I definitely need some more preparation. Like, I need a farm type system to get leaf blocks because those aren't the easiest. Those aren't the most fun to get. I also need a way to farm the clay to make those pots. If you notice, every single one of these trees has a bunch of pine cones on it. And to make the pine cones, I used flower pots. But one flower pot is 3 clay. So that's 1 clay block for every flower pot pretty much. And clay is not that common. I had to keep running around. I kept running out. That was... Yes. Ooh, small drip leaf could look cool in here. But yeah, it was not very easy to get all the clay. So we should definitely get a clay farm and stuff set up. But I'm down. Like, if you guys want to see that, I'm down. I will make this entire area a custom forest. Because, I mean, it'd be a lot of work, but that would be so cool. We would definitely have to figure out what we'd put inside the forest, though, you know? Like, there'd have to be a reason to have this giant forest. What's inside of it? If I have no reason to travel through the forest, it's kind of a waste, you know? But seriously, let me know down below what I should do about that. Like, should I make a giant forest? Should I not? What should go inside of it? Seriously, let me know your thoughts down below. I absolutely love reading your comments. It actually is like the highlight of my day. That's kind of it, guys. We've made this beautiful forest. We made this awesome wood room. We have a fully working sawmill down here. We now have a farm for every single wood type in the game set up. This build is absolutely insane. The level of functionality is just mind-blowing. And then in addition to that, the just absolute beautiful, like, art. This is art right here. It's stunning to look at. I can't believe this is Minecraft, if I'm being real with you. Wow, this area is just so absolutely incredible. And we're getting really close to 1,000 days. 120 days to go. So seriously, we're getting close. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for joining me for this absolutely incredible journey here. It has been so much fun making this project. I've had so much fun designing the trees and the buildings, and I really cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about it down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, where last episode we built a absolutely stunning pine forest along with a fully automatic working sawmill. That was a lot of fun, but what are we doing today? Well, today is going to be a really fun day because we are adding life to both my starter house and the pine forest. Now, before we actually get to that, in between episodes, I finally did the interior to my starter house. So if we take a look in here, I have an absolutely magnificent place. And I'm sure you guys are curious how I have all these models, because I'm not supposed to be using any major game-changing mods, just small little performance enhancements. And well, these are not mods. These are actually just a resource pack and some brand new vanilla features added in the latest update. Yes, even the birds. And I added those birds out above the gull. These are inspired from a Jake Kelton Crafts video. I'm sure you guys have heard of him by now, but he made a video about flying animated birds. So I took the design and slightly modified it. I used the acacia hanging signs for like a gull beak. He had a lightning rod there. I think this looks so much better with the hanging sign. It looks so cool, especially out there in the distance. Now, I'm sure you guys want to know how I have all these birds around the house and all these custom models inside my house. And like I said, this is simply just a texture pack and a little bit of vanilla stuff added in the last update. So this is all part of a pack that I'm calling Aussie's Enhanced Models. Now, the way this stuff works is actually pretty simple. Most of it uses a carved pumpkin, but you can set it to do whatever you want with whatever item you want. So if we go to an anvil real quick, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So in vanilla version 121.5, they added a feature for resource pack creators where you can now have an item model fully dependent off of its namespace. So for example, we have a carved pumpkin. When it's named carved pumpkin, it's just a carved pumpkin. But if we were to throw this inside of an anvil and rename it to something like bald eagle, all of a sudden we have a bald eagle. Now, I have made about 52 different custom models, and I still have a lot more to make because I want to use these all over my world, but that's all these are. These are just renamed carved pumpkins to get unique textures. And then using the vanilla tweaks armor stand mod and this handy little book, I'm able to make all of the armor stands invisible. So something like this pistol right here, for example, this is actually just a retextured crossbow. And if I go ahead and unlock the armor stand, I should be able to just go ahead and grab it. And you'll see right here, it's Minecraft crossbow. But since it's renamed to a pistol, it gets this unique texture, along with a unique loading animation and firing sound. It's really cool. I've spent 2 weeks working on a bunch of custom models, and I'm very pleased with how this has gone so far, and I plan to use these all over my world. So please, if you guys have any suggestions, put them down below, and I may just add them to my pack. Now, before I go add life to the pine forest, I would love to add one more thing to my starter house to really finish it off. That being an idea from one of you. In this comment right here. That says, awesome build. I personally think that adding in a few mini structures would give the wheat fields amazing depth, i.e. a few scarecrows, bundles of wheat, and a water well. So we're just simply going to go ahead and enhance these wheat fields exactly like he told me to. I've collected a bunch of materials to put bundles of wheat all over the place and a few scarecrows. Also, since I managed to update to 121.5, I went and got some tall and short dry grass, and we're going to use this to add in just a little bit of texture to the wheat field. Alright, well, there you have it. Added in some random stuff. There's a few dead patches with the dried grass. We've got 3 scarecrows. So when you're down here, they do definitely pop out. We got 3 piles of wheat, I made sure to add very little amounts of this stuff because I didn't want it to be too overpowering. But if you're just like down here on the ground and you're kind of walking by, you see all of it. The dead patches are definitely harder to notice, but they do add nice little bits of texture when you see them. So thank you very much, Dark Matter. It was a very wonderful suggestion, and I think it's adding a whole lot to my world. Alright, now it is time to go add life to the pine forest using these models that I've cooked up. I've taken the liberty to design a whole bunch of models to just kind of put everywhere and make it look full of life. So let's go ahead and head over to our automatic sawmill and decorate the pine forest, shall we? Pine Forest. You know, I absolutely love this place. It is just so incredibly beautiful. Anyway, I got a birdie. So this is more or less how we're going to be decorating this entire forest. This is a bald eagle model I mocked up, and using this handy dandy little armor stand thing, once again, we're just going to turn off gravity. And we're going to make the stand invisible. And then finally, just to ensure that we're safe, we're going to lock the armor stand. And then we're going to get rid of all this. And hopefully the birdie's going to stay up there. Yes, he is. That was like crazy, actually, all the splash sound effects. That was actually kind of magical, considering that we're in Minecraft. I don't know if that's because of one of the mods I have on or if that's vanilla. Because I do have this mod that enhances like the splashing sound effects in the rain. Anyway, getting sidetracked once again. This is just a small little taste of what we're going to be doing all over this place. I want to have a few different like flocks of birds just flying around. And I do know this is going to be kind of ambitious. It's probably going to get relatively laggy over here, but I think it's going to look fantastic. Wow, that sun is incredibly bright. There you go. Oh, it looks really good in vanilla too. I do gotta say, does this bird look too small? Does it seem like it needs to be larger? I don't know. But that looks so cool, does it not? Now just imagine it everywhere. All right, we gotta do another. I really gotta see how this looks. Let's add like a flock of birds right here. All right, guys, look at this forest. Again, there's still a lot more to add, but is this not looking fantastic? I'm absolutely like astonished at how cool this looks, because I thought it would look good, but I was really worried that it would be too small or they're not noticeable enough. But I mean, look at that. They are dark colored birds, so if you hit it at the right angle against the trees, they are kind of invisible, but that's kind of how bird watching goes in real life, doesn't it? I guess I've never really done bird watching, so I wouldn't know, but wow. I've also added a handful of little birds just all over the place. So there's one on that roof. There's this special blackbird over there. And I also had one extra bird, so I put him right there. Also, fun fact, if you have an item frame on top of a trapdoor, when you flip it, it doesn't break. That's actually like really cool to me because in Bedrock, that thing would have broken immediately. But this is so beautiful. Seriously, if you guys have any ideas to add to this forest that I end up not adding today, I would love to know what you have because I don't think I'm ever going to be truly 100% done with this forest. There's always going to be some small detail you can add just to... Where did my door go? There's always going to be some small detail you can add just to make it that much better. Apparently zombies be stealing my doors again. Alright. Well, we now need to add a little bit of wildlife in the trees, I think. So I'm going to add a few more birds in random locations. Also, I added a few dead bushes while I was adding those birds, just to add a little bit of like this kind of dead brush feeling. That's the best way I have to describe it. Also, we need to add leaf litter because that was added in this version. So I definitely need to get some leaf litter all over the place. Yeah, that's a really good idea. So I need to go get some leaf litter and another like 20 birds, I think. Now, I'm not going all the way out to get leaf litter, so I have some spruce leaves just right here. We can smelt these down if I have any coal. Only 3. All right, I'm going to have to get some fuel and some birds, and yeah, let me go do that real quick. All right, guys, so I did get a bunch of leaf litter, and I did put it down. However, rather than just showing you each scene as I go, I've decided that it will be better to just kind of show you guys all of the models I'm going to use right now, and then put them in place and give you guys a grand tour of the forest once it's done. So first of all, I got some squirrels that I've designed. I don't think I've shown you guys these yet, but there are plenty of squirrels. Really excited to add these to the forest. I also got a second bald eagle. This one's going to be diving. So I'm going to set up some cool scene with the eagle hunting. I think that'll be fun. And then I've just got some more of the basic birds that I'm going to put around. And also, I've got some owls that we are going to incorporate. I've also got this cool idea to add actual Minecraft mobs into the forest. So in the nether, I have got 2 foxes tied up to a fence post. I'm going to bring them over here, breed them, and leash them somewhere in the forest. And in addition to that, we're also going to breed up some bunny rabbits and just kind of let them run throughout the forest. I am going to tie them to something so they don't just disappear, but just to add a little bit of movement. I'm also going to add some actual people in here, so I'll be able to show all of this to you guys once I do it. So let me just go ahead and decorate the forest. Well, everybody, I did it. The forest has been upgraded. There are people and animals all over the place. I wanted to make sure that it was not too over the top, so there's not going to be like an overwhelmingly large amount of animals, but there's enough that you'll notice them here and there, and it looks pretty cool. Over here, it's just like a giant squirrel area. There's squirrels just everywhere over here. We got some people walking around doing things. I got some foxes in the back of the woods. I did add some of that leaf litter around. There's not much in this area. It's more so dominant on the other area. Another fox over here. We got some of the Elvis birds. My squirrels. I got some rabbits in here too. Again, over here, there's not much leaf litter. I made sure that the leaf litter was more dominant in that area. Up here, we have an owl. Yeah, I know. Looking really cool. Over here, we've got just kind of a small area with some foxes and squirrels, and we have a chicken over here. Looking from here, you can see there's an owl tucked up over that stick branch area. We got some birds diving from that tree into a nest. Some chickens over there. There's also going to be some rabbits right there. It's so cool. Like, these are really subtle details, but they look so nice. Over here, we got a dude playing with the dogs. Over here, this is probably one of my favorite details. Axe throwing. There's this little open area here, and I thought axe throwing would be perfect. So they're throwing the axes. This dude got a bullseye. He's celebrating. This one's about to throw. Then there's some chickens back here. Birdie in a nest. And then if we head down towards the docks, you're going to see the eagle. We've got a person walking away from the docks. A guy walking to the docks. Someone sitting and enjoying lunch by the looks of it. Someone was fishing. And over here, we just got someone doing work. Also, there's a bird up there on the crane. It's just like a small little subtle detail you can notice. It's so cool. Also, another one of my favorite details, and I think the only one I haven't shown you yet, I've got these birds flying up through the air over here. If we go on the other side of the central building, there's 2 more birdies just kind of flying there. You see it? There's an eagle diving. Eagles will eat smaller birds and squirrels, so I've just got this eagle diving at the little brown bird looking for lunch. It's so funny, but it looks so cute and so cool at the same time. I just absolutely love it. Seriously, if you guys want to see some other things added to this forest, let me know, because like I said earlier, I don't think this area is ever going to be truly 100% done. But I am very, very pleased with how it is looking. And with that, we have officially reached 999 days in hardcore Minecraft. I know this is a bit of a shorter episode, but we did it. Once I sleep in this bed, we will have officially survived 1,000 days in hardcore Minecraft.